Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. We are live also in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM and affiliates across the 16 regions of Ghana, including Radio Wa in Wa, Kalewo FM in Akachi, and ATL FM in Cape Coast. You can also download the My Joy Online app from Play Store and App Store to listen live on the internet. In this edition, as defiant laboratory scientists at Konfanochi Teaching Hospital refuse to back down on their strike, Joy News checks reveal patients are bearing the brunt as they are now paying more for laboratory services.
It's tireless because when you come to Konfanoche, the price is 50 cedis. When you go to the private, it's 80 cedis. Whatever they need, whatever their concerns are, they need to be addressed right away.
Meanwhile, the scientists have vowed to ensure their members take over control of all public hospital labs in the country.
Headship of laboratories at the various levels should be open to only laboratory physicians. Please, I repeat, only to laboratory physicians.
We'll check the situation in other hospitals as the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital looks to private laboratories to fill the vacuum created by the strike. Also, management of City FM demands more punitive action against national security officials who assaulted its journalist Caleb Kuda after investigations reveal they misconducted themselves.
I consider it a preliminary statement because there's a lot more issues that were raised in the letter to the NMC and based on all that we've said. So I consider this the first phase.
Also in this package, opposition NDC under verbal attack. Some smaller political parties are demanding an apology, describing as insulting the NDC suggestion that parties without parliamentary seats must not have the same voting rights as those with seats during IPAC meetings.
Don't just mobilize those votes. Okay, so let's vote. Then we are the cause of this world. Then do all, yeah.
It is not only parties that have representation in parliament that have wisdom.
I think that he needs to apologize to the minority parties. What is he talking about?
We'll hear from the CPP, NDP, as well as the APC in sports.
The Ghana Athletics Association have reviewed how much Team Ghana will need to have a successful participation at the Tokyo Olympic Games. We'll tell you more about the actual money needed much later in sports.
And also later, quiz mistress for the southern zone of the Science and Maths quiz showers praise on girls' schools which have participated so far in the competition.
I've been absolutely fascinated with the girls here. You can see that the confidence is lacking a bit, but I see that immediately they get on and it's a lot of confidence that they suddenly get. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think this is the year that something exciting would happen when it comes to the girls' schools.
But how will they stay on top to clinch the final prize? We'll get some answers here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. And this is your home of bold and fearless journalism. This afternoon, we begin from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where patients of the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital are bearing the brunt of the strike called by medical laboratory scientists there. As you know, they are protesting the appointment of 2 medical doctors to the Laboratory Services Directorate. But Love News checks show the patients there are now paying more for laboratory services. This is because the private laboratories have taken advantage and now charging more for their services. Listen to some of them.
I came to the lab for lab test of my daughter, who will be going to see the doctor on Monday. But I came and then I was told they are on strike. So I have to go to a private lab to go and then make the lab.
I see. In terms of going to the private lab, did you have any sort of prior discussion with your doctor, the doctor taking care of the daughter before going for these private laboratory services?
No, please, because it's an urgent, and then my daughter have to see the medical practitioner on Monday. I have to do the lab today before she sees a medical doctor on Monday.
In terms of the arrangement, how difficult or how expensive, how easier has it been for you moving from Konfanochi premises to outside the hospital?
I wasn't even aware of the pricing, so I decided to go there. And because of the urgent need of my daughter to see the medical practitioner on Monday, I have to pay whatever amount that they asked to be paid.
How much?
80 Ghana cedis. But here at Konfanochi, it's 50 Ghana cedis.
Wow. And are you able to afford this cedi?
Because it is important for us to do it, I have to. Whether I can or not, I have to.
Can you imagine the kind of difficulties some other patient probably would have gone through? You came prepared. You were able to foot the bill, 80 Ghana cedis. what do you think will happen to other patients who probably might not be able to foot this bill?
It means they will not be able to make the lab, and then in case because of that, they will not be able also to see the medical practitioner, or even if they go there, whatever that they have to see in order to make the necessary arrangement for them to be diagnosed, to become very difficult. Because out of the lab that they will know whether the sickness or disease is progressing or whatever results that may determine from the lab.
Ohiming Teria there interacting with a patient at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. He joins us live with the current situation at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Ohiming, what's the situation now as we speak?
Thank you, MFR. I must say the situation at Konfanochi remains unchanged. The laboratory scientists are still on strike. Yesterday, many of them were at post, idling about, not attending to patients at all. Today, few of them are at post. I'm told the leadership are also locked up in a meeting discussing a letter release that was actually sent from the Ministry of Health. And beyond that, more patients are now becoming aware of the strike action. So instead of wasting your time at the premises of these laboratory scientists, many have decided to seek support elsewhere, especially from nearby private laboratories that are scattered almost all over the place at Bantama and other places. But I must say, management of Konfanochi still remain resolute that the contingency measures that they have put in place will work and support the patients. They say that this is not the first time contingency measures have been put in place when striking units or directorates of the hospital go on strike. So they believe that this will go a long way to ameliorate the difficulty that patients go through as far as diagnosing and treatment of conditions at the facility are concerned. MFR.
Definitely, if you have your in-house medical laboratory scientists going on strike, definitely will be affected. And if even you put in alternative measures like we are doing, it will not be as rapid and as effective as if you have your in-house team working 24/7 as they used to be. But this is a crisis and we are doing everything to mitigate the impact. There are some contingency measures to provide some level of laboratory services for our patients. Enough arrangements are being made, and it is hoped that very soon the hospital will be able to serve the numerous patients who come here as far as laboratory services are concerned. In fact, arrangements have already commenced, and we are in touch with some partners, including hospitals and private laboratory service providers in the city, so that we can put in a system that will ensure that samples that are collected at a hospital are processed by these partners.
So that's Kwame Frimpong, the PRO of the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Well, we've been hearing from the president of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Dr. Abudu Rahmani, and he's warning that the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital is a trigger, and very soon, laboratory scientists in all regional and district hospitals will assume their rightful place as head of the laboratories. This, according to him, is based on a 2019 Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons report by Professor George Ayete, which grants headship of laboratories to laboratory scientists.
We are minded by February 6, 2017, Prof. Aite's report, and I quote, that is from the College of Physicians and Surgeons. Headship of laboratories at the various levels should be open to only laboratory physicians. Please, I repeat, only to laboratory physicians. This is the recommendation that the College of Physicians and Surgeons gave to the Prof. Aite's commission. Okay, so if this is the mindset of the people who are presenting some medical officers to our department, what would you expect our members to do? What would you expect our members? When we have made it very clear that it should be open only to you, so our members do not have that opportunity because you think that you are the only person who should head laboratory. I mean, this is not simple. After we met the ministry, we have had a very good deliberation. In fact, we were hopeful that going on the ground and speaking to our members, they would have understand, because they have some understanding in the sense that there is a roadmap the ministry has set up. Even though we are not happy about the roadmap, there is a very clear way that the ministry wants us to solve the problem.
That's the president of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Dr. Abu Rahmani. But the Ghana Medical Association says it has no intention of taking over the primary role of the laboratory scientists, but insists they are better placed to head the labs. Here's the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the association.
There is this misconception and this deception, all with the aim of seeking public sympathy, that this colleague of ours have been appointed to the labs to head the labs. No, they have not been appointed to the labs. Lab physicians, specialists, it's also a program done anywhere in the world. Our colleagues are taking care of their mothers and fathers as we speak now. So it's the same people. When we say they say we shouldn't talk about it, these are people who did hematology. And then they come, they are looking at the cancers. We have the leukemias and all that. Sickle cell. That is their role. It's not like they came to the lab, ask you to vacate your microscope or the automated machine that you are using and you think nobody can use. They are not asking you to vacate those.
That's the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Pakwisi Beidu. So what is actually the situation in other hospitals? Let's come back here to Accra and visit the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. My colleague Kwikwa Sante is monitoring the situation there. Kwikwa, you've been monitoring the situation and doing some checks. How does the Kolebu Teaching Hospital handle this particular situation?
All right, MFA. So the situation is a bit different here at Kolebu. The top management of the lab professionals are all senior from the laboratory scientists and allied professionals, and most of them are members of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists. Their colleagues who are protesting in Kolebu Teaching Hospital. However, the head of the Central Laboratory Service, that is the head, Professor Henry Anani Asare, is a chemical pathologist, and although he's not part of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, it's created a certain level of calm because they say that he's also not a medical doctor, as it's pertaining in KUSC now. It's currently the Dean of the School of Biomedical and Allied Health Sciences at the University of Ghana, and so that is what is creating that kind of calmness here. But David Azuma is also the head of the hematology, and he's a medical laboratory scientist, so he's their member. So if you look at the leadership of that part of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, almost all of them are laboratory scientists and are members of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists. But they tell me that the situation as it is in Kumfanoche was the same thing that persisted here a few years ago. But they protested. A committee was set up to look into some of those issues. The committee that was formed wanted to preserve the status quo, but they fighted until government heeded to their cause and changed the situation. So here is a situation of calm where all the top leadership of the laboratory, the head of lab, up until the least president, are all members of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists.
So that's my colleague Kwikwa Sante there giving us the situation as pertain at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We stay on labor agitations, and this time striking members of the Association of Senior Staff in Public Universities say they remain unfazed despite assurances by government to address their concerns through negotiations. Ministers of Labour and Employment, as well as Education and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission representing the government, met leadership of the association with a promise to further negotiate with the group. But leadership of the association insists the Wednesday meeting cannot compel them to rescind their decision. It comes after a task force formed by the association moves from office to office on various campuses, ensuring full compliance with the directive to stay out of work. George Anson is chairman of the KNUST branch of the association.
The Minister of Education, Labour, GTech Director, representative from Controller and Accountant General. But the discussion doesn't necessitate us to call off the strike. So the strike is still on until our demands are met. I must give my members about 99.8%, but there are just some few of them who maybe I don't know whether they didn't hear of the strike or something. And because of that, we are doing a mop-up to go around to drive all of them. So we are fully satisfied. And we've seen the impact. Our bosses have been calling us, some are pleading and other things. But we stand resolute until our demands are met.
That's George Anson, chairman of the KNUST branch of the Association of Senior Staff in Public Universities. I turn our attention to other stories now, and the management of Accra-based CTFM is demanding more punitive action against national security officials who assaulted its journalist Caleb Kuda after investigations revealed they misconducted themselves. A report from an investigation committee commissioned by the National Security Ministry indicted the Director of Operations, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ajiman, and 3 police officers for their misconduct, which was said to be in contravention of its standard operations. Lawyers for the media house have welcomed the action, saying it confirms the journalist's account that he was assaulted. Bernard Avle is General Manager of CTFM and City TV.
I consider it a preliminary statement because there's a lot more issues that were raised in the letter to the NMC and based on all that we've said. So I consider this the first phase. This is not conclusive.
Yes.
This is not conclusive. This is very preliminary because essentially admits that they were wrong, but also suggests that the entry of Caleb was unlawful, and then but it says that the secondment of Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ajiman has been reversed. The secondment has been reversed.
That's the General Manager of CTFM City TV, Bernard Avle. Meanwhile, security analyst Professor Kwesi believes the National Security Ministry should have punished the officers and not referred them to their mother organizations. He spoke on News Desk on the Joy News channel.
How should operatives or those who work under the national security framework actually treat people? How should they go about their work? 2, how are they supervised? 3, how are they mentored? 4, recruitment, training, and equally importantly is the role of Parliament as an oversight institution. So this is a very tentative first step. It's very welcome, but 95% more work is actually ahead of us. And I'm hoping that by issuing this statement, that it signifies and symbolizes an openness and a preparedness for engagement, for a discussion, for roping in a wider group of individuals with different perspectives. But secondly, if the police officers, the 3 police officers, and Colonel Ajiman have flouted the law, then I don't think they should be sent to the parent institutions because they realize the controversy that I've been talking about all of last week and this week, that the nature of the structure, what they now call apparatus, if the apparatus of national security draws on different institutions and their personnel for them to act, then when they flout the rules of Ghana, then they must be punished under that act. You see, because by sending them to their parent institutions, we are not too sure what types of punishment will be meted out to them.
That's security analyst Professor Kwesi. Well, the executive director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, has also been speaking about it. He says that the police and military leadership must show that they uphold their values and punish their officers involved. Thankfully, he joins us on the line. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So what exactly do you hope to see regarding these officers involved?
Well, I think that the National Security Establishment has done its bit on this matter. Given that these officers are on secondment from different organizations, I don't think that national security would have the capacity to say we have dismissed a military officer who is on secondment to us because the person has misconducted himself. And similarly, the police, they cannot do same with the police. And having established that they breached the operational protocols of national security, and therefore vindicating or affirming what the journalist had said he went through in terms of the physical abuses, I think it presents an opportunity for both the police administration and the Ghana Armed Forces to prove to Ghanaians that when their officers on secondment or find themselves anywhere and misconduct themselves, that constitutes grounds for sanctions. And we can only look forward to these 2 institutions meting out sanctions to these officers to prove to us that indeed they don't condone indiscipline among their officers.
But to the extent that these officers were not even mentioned, apart from Colonel Ajiman, and also the fact that we would hear them say that internal measures will be taken, I'm wondering what exactly then we'll be expecting. Are you expecting a public sanction of a sort? What exactly would it be?
Well, first of all, in terms of the Lieutenant Colonel, I think his designation is Director of Operations. And so he certainly held a position of significance. Now, the police officers, certainly once they've mentioned that there are 3 people, I'm sure it's not difficult to find who these 3 people are. And they are being referred to their mother agencies. And as I've said, well, this is a matter of public interest. City FM and other allied groups can now decide to petition the police administration and the Ghana Armed Forces to say, look, National Security has established that your officers who were seconded to them have misconducted themselves. It's a matter that involves our staff, and therefore we are looking forward to seeing sanctions meted out. I think that it would be inappropriate for Ghana Armed Forces or the police administration to make this a matter of a private investigations without updating the public on whatever decisions that they make.
We're grateful for your time. That's Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleimana Brahima.
Oh, Tale! The man is shot. Boss, wait. Oh, Tale!
What you're hearing there are sounds of that infamous scene of a man shot during the violence that characterized the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election in 2019. After 2 years of battling with a terrible injury in the leg from that violence, Ishao Yaro, a victim, has indicated that he has not received any support from government, although he was identified for compensation. Speaking on the SMS earlier this morning, Ishao revealed how the injury has affected his career as a professional footballer and expressed great disappointment in government's failure to compensate him.
I just came back from India to play my professional football. I sustained some small injury. I just came back home to treat myself before this incident happened to me. So he has affected my life seriously. About 2 years, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going, I'm not coming. One place.
So have you received any compensation for what happened to you?
No, not yet. I haven't received anything.
Has anybody from government been communicating with you?
No, I haven't heard anything from the government. You know what is worrying me? Government of the day sets a committee to look inside the matter about what happened, a mission committee. After everything, they give the president the white paper about what happened, about our compensation, about the guy who slapped Sam George.
That's Ishao Yaro there, a victim of the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election and still yet to receive any compensation from government. Our top stories in this bulletin: as defiant laboratory scientists at Kofanochi Teaching Hospital refuse to back down on their strike. Joining checks reveal patients are bearing the brunt as they are now paying more for laboratory services. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, we have sports and then also opposition NDC under verbal attack. Some smaller political parties are demanding an apology, describing as insulting the NDC suggestion that parties without parliamentary seats must not have the same voting rights as those with seats during IPAC meetings.
I'll just mobilize those people. Okay, so let's vote. Then we are on course of this world. Then do all, yeah.
It is not only parties that have representation in parliament that have wisdom.
I think that he needs to apologize to the minority parties. What is he talking about?
This bulletin is live in the Volta region on Jubilee Radio Keta, Volta Premier and Kekali Radio in Ho, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, Pando FM in Pando, Fafa Radio in Joje, Radio Hogba in Angloga, Klenam Radio Bato, Victory FM Aflao. In the Eastern region, we're on K-Poly Radio in Koforidia. In the Northern region, we're on Bishara Radio, Radio 123 and Radio Justice in Tamale. And in Savannah region, we're on Inkelege FM in Bole. In the Upper East region, we're live on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga, and Radio Fumbese in Fumbese. In Upper West, we're live on Radio Sonmale in Wa, Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, and Bolu FM in Bolu. In the Bono East region, we're on Gaskia FM in Techiman. In Bono region, we're on Sky FM and Parrots FM in Sunyai. Central region, we're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast. And in the Western region, we're on Radio Max in Takrady.
This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's time for sports, Mubarak.
Yes, Semefa. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, she got it absolutely right. Now, let's get into sports. And MFA, you recall that Team Ghana had problems with baton exchanges at the World Relays in Poland a few weeks ago. The problem was attributed to lack of adequate preparation ahead of the event. Secretary General of the Ghana Athletics Association, Bawa Fuseni, says they need at least $300,000 for proper preparation ahead of the Tokyo Olympic Games.
Only way we can avoid that is to calm them and let them have enough competition and enough practices. If they practice enough, they can even close their eyes and do the baton exchange. If you practice enough, you know when to take off, you know when to receive the baton, and you know where to accelerate. You can close your eyes and do the exchanges. We plan to calm them after school. That will be first week in June. Between June and July, the team has to be in Europe. The team has to camp in Europe. If we really want, as a state, to get to the Olympic finals and to pick a medal, they have to necessarily camp in Europe for at least no less than 8 weeks. It's quite a lot. The last time we did a budget like that, it was in excess of $200,000.
So, General Secretary of the Ghana Athletics Association. So, MFA, we have to contribute and then give the money to them.
Contribute?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
$300,000 is pittance for us.
Okay, thank you. That's Mubarak with the latest from the world of sport. Now, this afternoon, some smaller political parties have strongly registered their displeasure at calls by the NDC for a change in the voting system at the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, that's IPAC meetings. The party this week, or the parties, participated in one of such meetings that saw a unanimous approval of key reforms, including 3 p.m. as end of voting for the 2024 elections. The NDC did not participate in this meeting and has since served notice it will not allow the proposal to go through. Director of Elections of the NDC, Elvis Ifriankra, while justifying the party's decision not to join the meeting, also argued it is unfair for the parties with parliamentary seats to have equal voting rights as those without seats.
MPP should have 1 vote, and all those parties singularly should have 1 vote. So when you bring together all those 20 or so parties, out of them we have 1 vote. Does it make sense? So when we go to IPAC meetings, our presence and input doesn't make any difference. Do you understand? Because it doesn't matter how sane and sanguine your arguments are. They'll just mobilize those people. Okay, so let's vote. Then if we are on course of this world, then do all, yeah. Hey, this is a sham. It's duplicity at this highest.
That's Elvis Ifriankra, Director of Elections for the NDC. Now, Chairperson of the CPP, Nana Akosua-Sarpong Kumankuma, is asking the Electoral Commission not to consider this proposal, insisting all parties are pushing to get votes from Ghanaians, and none is more important.
If it's to dialogue and come up with a solution that is best for all of us based on what has happened in the past, and you feel like you are most affected, you must not boycott it. So boycotting it and having a press conference or making it look as though those of us who went there are such tiny parties. Meanwhile, in the political setup, you can never call any party tiny because you never really know what happens next. It is the people's one single vote at a time.
Nana Akosua-Sarpong Kumankuma, the chairperson of the CPP. We've also been hearing from the NDP and the APC. They've also been rejecting those claims made by the NDC. And it's time for the National Science and Maths Quiz, and quiz mistress for the Southern Zone of the Science and Maths Quiz, Thelma Ohinie says she's impressed with the performance of the girls' schools in the Western Zone. It comes after Archbishop Porter Girls beat Ghana Secondary Technical School, St. John's, and 6 others to win the Western Zonal Trophy. Thelma Ejay believes the performance of the girls is a reflection of what will happen in October.
Been absolutely fascinated with the girls here. So Hantaman won their competition. Archbishop Porter's girls have been sailing through. You can see the confidence is lacking a bit, but I see that immediately they get on, and there's a lot of confidence that they suddenly get. So yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to how what their performance will be in the national championship. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think this is the year that something exciting would happen when it comes to the girls' schools.
And NAS quiz mistress for the Southern Zone, Thelma AJ, there, impressed with the performance of the girls. It's time for Showbiz and the girl power. Girl is here, Mapritso Sibidi.
So today, MFI and Showbiz, we're taking you to church with that's right.
Church.
I know you do. With Akesi Brimpong's new song Yahweh featuring Emoji.
The song is inspired by the life of Moses. I did a character study of Moses during the lockdown and found out that contrary to what my generation know about Moses as the deliverer and, the prophet, Moses was also a staunch worshiper. One of the guys that God was so close to that he could afford to reveal himself to. The Bible says that he spoke to God face to face. The children of Israel knew the deeds of God. But Moses actually knew his ways. Idea of who Moses was and his journey inspired the song Yahweh. The intriguing thing is that Moses was the first person to know God as Yahweh. When he meets Moses at the burning bush in Exodus chapter 3, he reveals himself as I am, Yahweh.
Oh wow! I'm in the spirit today. I'm not, making a
International
noise.
Woman in the Spirit.
I'm in the spirit. We're going to church, and then
Shabbat.
after church tomorrow, we're going to Bay Village for a Stone Boys virtual concert.
That's Mapito CBD with Showbiz. And the stories you've been reading on myjoyonline.com. US-based companies use grouping doom. 18 others alleging money laundering, wire fraud. Also, national security withdraws 4 officers involved in assault of City FM's Caleb Kuda, arrest of City FM journalist. Security officers breach standard operating procedures. That's according to the National Security Ministry. Mahama withdraws acceptance as African Union envoy to Somalia. That and more on myjoyonline.com. Akese Brimpon takes us to Living Word, Faithfulness, Episode 3 with Pastor Mensah Otabil. I am MFA Pau. Enjoy your weekend.
Hello, please, am I speaking to Miss Joanna Kuma?
Yes, please.
My name is Philip and I'm calling from MTN. Someone has just sent you money and we will need you to enter your PIN number so that we can put the money in your account.
Hey,
Hey, oh, Dada, MTN will never ask you for your PIN. Never reveal your PIN to